Good evening. It is I, Ronkar. It is my pleasure to be with you in this evening. In this evening's meditation, we took you to a spot that was a room, which was an alliteration of you. It was meant to be from God's point of view, the way He would see you. He would find you to be perfect in every way. For you have already been blessed with life, and you have been born the way that you have been born. You have your own sets of talents. You have your own set of abilities. You have your own level of intelligence. You have your own inquisitiveness, and you have your own joy and happiness that comes to you in every day. And it's up to you, though, to create that joy and happiness in every day by looking at it, by deciding what events that you are pleased over. And remember that you create your own happiness in every day. It is as you decide things are perfect as they are. And as you accept everything that is as being perfect, so it is that you are calm and peaceful and relaxed over things. You cause yourself your unhappiness too. And the way you do that is by deciding you don't like what is manifesting, or the way people are, or the things people have said. And you dwell upon the fact that it is not as you would like things to be. And so you become unhappy because your thought is that which you are hearing, that which is going on is distasteful to you. It is that simple that causes you unhappiness. And it is just as simple that you can decide to be happy over these same things. Just release your attachment to having things the way you want them to be. Because you have to be in harmony with the way things are. When you are willing to say, it is okay, this will work itself out, this need not distress me. In other words, if you create harmony with what is going on for yourself, adopt a way of thinking and a way of being that puts you in harmony with situations, or accepting of situations, then so it is that you will feel peaceful and happy and harmonious. Now, I know from time to time there have been horrible dictators that have come to govern on the planet, on different places. And I know there are people who cause problems and trouble for the rest of the world, or for just other citizens in other countries, that these people are unhappy, and they cause unhappiness by destructive thoughts, destructive actions, things that are deliberately trying to hurt other people. And you say to me, I am sure, why is it why do I have to be in harmony with the way they are? Well, you do not have to be in harmony with the way they are. You just need not get yourself upset over the way they are, because they are as they are. There is nothing you can do about it. And if they are not harming you, then it is not a problem that you can do anything about, and it is not deliberately hurting you in any way. So therefore, do not let yourself be upset or unhappy over many of the things that are going on in the world today. For there are many people who are causing difficulties and unhappiness for others through their words and actions. They are creating disharmony. But if you can keep your peace, if you can keep your quiet, if you can be tranquil and harmonious within yourself and allow them to do whatever they do, but don't let it affect your countenance, your way of being, your way of thinking. And it is up to you only to say prayers, to have good thoughts, to send love, and create peace and harmony in your own life. And as you create peace and harmony in your life, you increase peace and harmony in the world. And perhaps you extend your peace and harmony to others who live near you or part of your family or whatever. And by doing so, again, you increase the peace and harmony in the world. If enough people think of creating peace and harmony in their life and sending peace and harmony and love out to others, this will make a difference in the world. It will turn it into a better place, one in which others will want to get along. And so I give you this message in this evening. Create peace and harmony in your life. Create happiness and joy. And you will help to cover the earth with more peace and harmony, more happiness and joy. Now, are there any questions on what I have talked about in this evening? Or if you have any questions that you would like answered and other subjects or topics, that is fine. Just, we do not have hands raised. Just begin to speak when no one else is speaking. And I will be quiet now and let you speak.
I suppose you're the victim of one of these dictators or terrorists or whatever. What do you do with that?
I'm sorry, you are saying if you are the victim?
Yes.
I do not know what you are thinking of when you say victim.
Well, if you're being tortured or beat up or jailed or whatever the dictators and terrorists do to people, I mean, how are you supposed to say I'm happy and I'm peaceful?
Well, obviously you cannot if you are being tortured, if you are being beat up and injured in any way. So that would be extremely difficult. All that you can do is send love to those who are around you and even those who are beating you up, because that actually affects them. And it may help to save your life. It may make your beating less severe. It may help you in many ways. And I understand that when you are in pain and others are inflicting pain upon yourself, it is extremely difficult for you to be at peace and be in harmony. You can't be in harmony with what's happening because it is atrocious that it is happening to you. But you have to do the best that you can in any circumstance to preserve your life as best you can and to be as tranquil. Now, they probably are not beating you up for no reason. Let us face it, that usually occurs because you have done something that they did not like, that they did not want. And of course, you can always stop doing what you're doing so that they would leave you alone. And do not say the things that they don't want you to say. Do not offend them. Send them peace and love. And very often this can make a difference in how you are treated. I know that it may not, but it is strictly what happens. And it is much better for you to not resist and not grow angry. To try and find the peace and harmony in yourself so that you can withstand whatever is happening to you at that time.
I don't know about other places, but of course we'll go back to dear Hitler. But the Jews weren't doing anything and they couldn't change the fact that they were Jewish. And they still got tortured.
Yes. And why did they come into this world as Jews? Not many of them knew that this type of thing would be happening to them before they incarnated. So
They did? Oh my God.
yes, I know it seems strange. Why would someone want to do that or come into this? But you see, there are many people, since there is karma, there may be times when people have karma that must be, they're going to experience something in some way anyway. And by choosing to be one of the people who are sacrificed, they expedite their karma as well as help themselves as well as help the rest of the world, because it was because of the atrocities that they were able to eliminate Hitler, as well as they did. The world rallied against these atrocities.
Okay, thank you.
I know it is difficult to understand. Why would a child decide to enter into a life in which he was perhaps both blind and deaf? But yet there are those who would choose to enter into that. There is to put yourself in a position which allows others to help you is to offer them a great gift. And so someone might choose to do that from the viewpoint of when they are on in the spirit world, as opposed to being on earth and not having to function and trying to function without both hearing and sight. So they know it will be difficult. Perhaps they do not understand how difficult it will be, but they make these choices, and people make these choices. People make the choice to be the victims of Alzheimer's, because that then puts them in a position where they need to be taken care of. There are always people who want to take care of others and have a need to take care of others. So those who choose to deteriorate into Alzheimer's as they age are making a sacrifice which helps others. And I know it is hard for those of you who are on earth in good physical condition with all your senses to imagine that anyone would wish to do that as a form of service. It is not what you can possibly imagine, but it does happen. And you must look at people who are in this way as performing a service for others. Are there other questions?
Yes, Ron Carr, I'd like to take this in a different direction. I have family members who have transitioned to the other side. And one in particular, anytime I have a reading with a medium, comes forward to tell me how sorry they are. I wonder, am I not sending them the right vibration, that I understand what happened and that I'm not holding it against them in any way? It makes me oftentimes feel sad to think that he's on the other side worrying about apologizing to me. Does that make sense? But it comes up all the time, like more than once in the conversation with the medium. She'll keep coming back to me to say he really wants you to know that he's sorry. And I really don't think I'm holding anything against him, even in my own mind. I've tried to go through the grieving process and release them and understand that this was their life's contract, even though I don't understand why I signed on for it. But it just seems, is there something that I might be doing to hold him in that state of unrest?
I do not think so. There are two issues that are going on in when you are receiving a reading. And one of those happens to be the medium himself or herself. And the other, of course, is the spirit. And the spirit may be wanting you to acknowledge that you have gotten the message. Perhaps you have not been verbal enough by saying, I have received the message. I know that you are sorry for whatever it is that, if you know why he is or she is asking to be forgiven or is saying they are sorry, and that you forgive them, and please do not speak of it again, and see if that works. Perhaps they will get the message that all is well with you. If you speak to them deliberately and speak to the medium who is giving you that message. Say, yes, thank you for that message. I know that they are very sorry, and at least they won't say it a second time, because you have acknowledged and stated that you have gotten the message. And I'm sorry if you have to do this with every new medium. If it is the same medium giving you the same message each time, well, that is probably a problem with the medium, in that whatever they are picking up or feeling, they are interpreting as being apologies. Because you see, most of the information that comes from spirit through a medium, it is not that it is wrong. It is merely that to some great extent, it is being interpreted by that medium, that psychic, that clairvoyant. They are interpreting what they are feeling or hearing in such a way that it is coming through as an apology. So they could be not sending the message appropriately because of their own interpretation of what they are hearing, seeing, and feeling. So that is what I would suggest to you, that you try speaking directly back to the medium and thanking them for the message, and say, please tell him that all is forgiven, and that I am happy and well, and I hope that they are happy and well also. And that's what that may be able to stop this in the future.
Okay, thank you.
You are most welcome. Are there other questions?
Hi, it's Charlotte. I have a concern. It's coming up on Wednesday. I have to go for a tooth extraction, and I'm a little apprehensive. You know, I'm 86 years old, and I'm a little concerned about having a tooth pulled. Is this something that I should worry about, or should I just accept
Let me
it?
just ask one question. Are
Yes.
you desirous of having anesthesia, or are you just simply going to go for the normal numbing?
I think they said just the normal numbing so that I could go home afterwards.
Yes, right.
It's like 45 minutes, they said, about 45
Yes.
minutes.
So this will, I understand your apprehension. It is, I think most people on the physical plane are apprehensive about dental appointments and tooth extractions in particular, I am sure, but even dental appointments. So they will be numbing your gums and your teeth. And so other than the discomfort that comes in the initial numbing process, once they have gotten the first little bit numb, then other numbing will go easier because you will not be able to feel it. It will feel like pressure or some other thing. It will not be painful. And so will be the removal of the tooth. It will not be painful. And while you may feel a little faint because of your anxiety, you will be perfectly good when they are done.
That's what I want to hear.
You, you will not have to worry. Yes, you will have to pack the spot. You must be very careful, as they will tell you about eating or drinking foods that are too hot, and not to do certain things for a period of time, such as if you are a smoker, do not smoke cigarettes, that sort of thing. They will give you instructions, and then you will be fine.
Okay, thank you. Now, can I ask you one other question that I'm concerned about also?
Of course.
This is coming up on Thursday, Friday of this week, after I have the tooth extracted successfully. I have to go to, my first cousin passed away, and there isn't going to be anyone at the cemetery except her brother and myself and my daughter, who's going to be driving me. And it's in Queens. It's about an hour and a half drive. My daughter said that I have to drive to her house on Thursday night, and then she would drive to the cemetery on Friday. And it's quite a distance. And I just need to know if everything is going to go all right. I'm worried about.
I understand the
Trip and trip.
anxiety about driving to your daughter's house.
And also to the cemetery, which is an hour and a half away in Long Island, New York.
Yes, but your daughter is driving then.
Yes,
So she will keep, so she is a good driver. And
she's
she will
driving
be
my
fine.
car.
It does not matter. She is a good driver, and she will be able to get you there and get you home safely. As for yourself driving, it probably would be helpful if you could leave earlier in the afternoon so that you can drive in daylight. It will be easier for you to see.
I know, but unfortunately, I don't think that's possible. I have a conflict, and I won't be able to, but I'll be very careful.
Yes, that then is what you need to be.
I just
all
wanted
that I can
assurance that
say.
it's going to work out okay.
You do the best for yourself to get out as soon as you can, after your conflict is finished and done, and then you will be able to perhaps get to your daughter's house while it is still somewhat daylight.
Not too, right. Not
If
too
it
much
is
traffic.
not possible, you could always try to change your conflict.
Mm.
If you did not think to do that simple thing, you might try and get it done. You might
Okay,
be able to start earlier, or for whatever it is, so that you can finish earlier.
okay, thank
Try
you.
and ask that question.
I feel
Are there
better.
other questions?
So thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
Hi, I would like to first thank you for the beautiful message of harmony and love and tranquility. I've been trying to practice that on a daily basis, and I imagine sending hearts out into the universe. And in doing so, over the last few months, I have felt my ability of forgiveness comes very easy. And that was very reassuring and made me feel like what I was doing was worth it. I do have a question.
Yes.
I have a lifelong friend. I'm sorry, who fell into mental illness, and I fear that she's dead. Do you have any insight?
So you have a lifelong friend who has fallen into mental illness,
Yeah.
and it is very upsetting to you. And I do understand your pain. There is not much you can do. in the situation. But just as you have been sending hearts out to the universe, symbols of love, you have gotten better at forgiving. It is time to send love to your lifelong friend, accepting them as they are. Now, I do not know if that mental illness that your friend is experiencing has caused them to act in ways toward yourself which are hurtful, as this sometimes happens when mental illness goes on. But there is not much that you can do for someone who is mentally ill. They are receiving whatever help they need through doctors and what help can be given. And the world that they see is not an accurate one. And so they cannot think accurately and they cannot act accurately. And all that you can do is send them your love. And if you have the ability to visit them and there again, extend your love, to be accepting of them as they are. Do not argue with them over their perceptions or the things that they say. You have to be quiet, but just nod or something non-committal and think in your mind and send them love on a mental level, which is about all that you can do for them. You can express that love verbally, physically, if they are willing to accept it. But those who are mentally ill frequently cannot accept such expressions of love and affection. And so this, however, would be of comfort to them, just accepting them as they are and allowing them to be. And so you will do the greatest good in that way. Do you understand?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, it will help them as well
Okay.
as yourself, even if
And
they still
I
remain mentally ill.
that love directly to her, and she can do with it what she wants.
Yes,
Thank you.
and if she should push you away, well, then do not force it upon her, but send it to her mentally. And perhaps you can do something with her wherever she is. Play a game of cards, put together a
Not-
puzzle.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are most welcome.
It's a
Are there
pleasure.
other questions?
I was wondering when you were talking to Charlotte,
Yes,
and you were talking about the dentist. I was wondering, I mean, everything you said was like sound advice sort of thing. I was just wondering if you were actually looking ahead to Friday to see if everything went okay.
I do not know how to phrase that. I did not need to look ahead in the
Okay.
sense that I did not need to look into that day to see that everything went okay. The procedure that leaves her fearful, even with her age, is not one that should stress her in any way, so that everything will be fine. And so it merely comes from an awareness of the type of thing that might cause her a problem. And this is not one of those things.
Okay.
I am more concerned about her driving to her daughter's house, if that is to be expressed.
I
Excuse me.
gather.
Yeah, that is a 45-minute drive, but also if I left earlier, it would be during rush hour and there'd be a lot of traffic. So that's why I was thinking if I waited until after rush hour, even though it might be more darker than I would like,
More
that
difficult for you to see, that is my concern.
I,
If you can see clearly when you are driving, that is not a problem. And I understand about the traffic.
okay. Thank you.
Are there other questions?
Yes, I have a question. I'm
Yes.
sorry. I didn't know how to unmute myself. I was trying to ask and nothing was coming out. I just figured it out. I loved your message. I was going to ask a question regarding something else, but your message actually answered it for me. So thank you. But I do have another question regarding my father. My father passed away almost 2 years ago of COVID at the negligence
Oh,
of a nursing home. And we didn't get to see him for months. It was very horrible for us as a family. And the hospital did let us see him very quickly, right before he died, for basically for us to say goodbye. But it was a horrible situation. My father was afraid of dying. He looked at me, he didn't know what was going on. We were trying to explain there's a virus and he's in a mask, we're all in masks. And he looked at me and he said, "Help me." And to this day, I don't know what it meant. I feel guilty because there's nothing I could have done. And I cry so much about it because I miss him terribly, but I try to talk to him. I try to tell him that, it was just a horrible thing. He shouldn't have gone that way, but he's in a better place and I don't feel him around me. And I just want to know that he's okay. And I never knew, I still to this day don't know what that meant when he looked at me and he said, "Help me."
Well,
If you have any insight on that.
If you would give me his name, please. I will see. if I
Daniel,
can make-
yes, his name is Daniel Rado.
Daniel Rado. Just one moment.
Daniel Rado.
Yes, I have managed to find him. And he says actually, he does not know what he meant by that. The situation was so unfamiliar to him. There were so many things going on that he did not understand. That is why he asked you to help him. He needed to understand. But of course, you did not have time or the ability to make him understand or help him to understand. And you certainly could not have said to him, "You're dying." He would not have understood that either. He was just confused at everything that was happening.
That's true.
And so therefore, the help me was a plea to help him understand. That is all that he could say to me. He also has a message for you, which was, just give me half a minute longer. That in spite of his confusion, that he made his transition easily, that he is that I am not sure what the word is that he wishes to use. It is either at peace and happy. I'm getting both both of words coming from him. So it is not so much confusing to me, but it is difficult for me to relay to you. But he is contented, he is at peace, he is happy. And of course, he says to you and your mother that he sends his love and all is well, is what he is saying. He understands now, but he couldn't understand at the time. And so that was his help. He was very confused at what was going on.
Yeah, that's what we thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are most welcome. Are there other questions?
So I had a question because I'm reading a book about past lives and reincarnation, basically. It was about, I mean, I know when we die, we go through whatever process you go through, but this one in particular made me think because it was a baby, and the baby, I guess, was stillborn. And the only thing the child could say was, I used to be Auntie Ruthie's baby, now I'm yours. But when they asked her what happened in between, she couldn't remember. Is that common with children or babies rather
Well,
than like some of
essentially,
the other people could tell them what they experienced, but the babies didn't seem to be able to.
some people are in spirit longer than other people. And what you are asking, the child said he used to be Auntie Ruthie's baby, and that baby died. And so he came again as whoever he was speaking to, as her baby. But yet he still didn't survive because he was stillborn. So there may not have been much time between one baby, one life and the next life. And also the spirit, what can I say? Yes, you can look at it as the spirit was immature. Now that is not exactly a correct statement, because when you move into spirit, you are as full as anything. You are as aware as anything. For all spirits, we all have a large amount of awareness and can understand things. But as this baby was stillborn, and I'm assuming there was the use of a medium involved here, or else the child did not say anything. It was stillborn. So they are talking to the child while it is in the spirit. And the spirit, that is all that was wished to be communicated.
No, it was the child. The child was born to the other woman, and I forget how old she was, 3-4 years old maybe. And that's when she told her mother that she used to be Auntie Ruthie's baby. So it was Auntie Ruthie's baby that died. And nobody ever said anything in the family, apparently, because Auntie Ruthie was so upset. She never had any other kids. So they didn't tell Auntie Ruthie about this, but that was what the child said. And it sounded like the child was not in control of what her leaving and her rebirth, like it was just like, oh, I was there and now I'm here.
And the child was how old?
I think about 4 years old.
About 3 or 4, yes.
Yeah.
Many children are aware of previous incarnations, particularly a previous incarnation. And they will remember them for a short time. And at about age 4, 3, 4, maybe as late as 5, the child is now so engrossed in their new life that the memories of previous lifetimes disappear and cease to be an issue. And it is, I cannot say it is not unusual for children to be born into the same family. And in essence, this is the same family, because it was a family member. That these children, well, they sometimes come into a close family relationship, sometimes not, but they remember their last incarnation, and they, but at the age of 4 or thereabouts, it is beginning to fade, and they are more engrossed in their current lifetime than they are in remembering their old one. After all, the physical body is dominant. The mind is dominant. So therefore, that is what they are experiencing, and they are feeling, and they are knowing. And so a brief statement such as that has nothing to do with the fact it was a baby. It is more a reflection of the fact that it was the time in which it would be normal for this child to forget her previous incarnation. Do you understand that?
Yeah, I was wondering, when the baby was born, stillborn, I mean, it came back so quickly. It's not, and it didn't have any real life, so it couldn't do like a life review of whatever. And it made it, the little girl made it sound like she didn't understand, I was there and now I'm here. Like she had seemed to have no recollection of the actual passing the first time. And I was wondering if that was typical with children.
No, it is the stillbirth you were saying. She was not actually born into the physical body.
Yeah.
The baby died. So she would have been released before it experienced a life.
Mhm.
You understand?
Yes, but was it her decision to come back, or was it your
Oh, undoubtedly,
instant?
yes. Yes, it
Oh,
was
okay.
undoubtedly her decision to come back. Yes.
Oh, okay.
It is always the spirit's decision to come into a new incarnation.
Okay.
Yes, I did not understand your question. I am so sorry.
That's okay.
Are there other questions?
If I may kind of take a turn here, and I don't know if this is an area under which that you can talk to or not, but with so much going on now with space travel and a lot of talk of UAPs and UFOs, do you have any insight, knowledge, or information about potential alien life forms and our contact with them?
I am not familiar with the UAP.
Oh, UAP is just another form, another way of saying UFO. A UFO, I think, has the connotation of it automatically being something tangible, where UAP is a phenomenon. The P stands for phenomenon. So it's more like, yes, we acknowledge that we're seeing things, experiencing things, but we don't know what they are, and we're not willing to just jump up and say, oh, it's alien life form from a different planet or anything. So it's kind of just a terminology.
So what is your question in particular? Now that I understand the terminology, I was familiar with UFO.
I guess I feel a little silly saying it, but are there alien life forms, and will we have contact with them if there are such things?
Well, of course, there are alien life forms. God has created many, many universes. And so most of them are not, they're not in your solar system, but in your universe that is known as the Milky Way by people on Earth, that there are some other life forms. And of course, in other universes, there probably are more life forms. As for making contact with them, seeing them, one moment, I will try to find some information out on that.
Thank you. Over.
Interstellar travel is not an easy phenomenon that can be achieved easily. Some of what is seen, as you described as, I'm sorry, I forgot the letters, AP?
UAP.
UAP,
Yes.
that some of these things are not not aliens in the sense that they come from another planet, but as the initials indicate, they are merely phenomena that is unusual, that cannot be described. Now, there are many things that you do not know at this time in your technology that are yet to be understood at another time. Once upon a time, there was a lot everyone was aware of electricity, but it had not been harvested. I wanted to say harvested, but it was not used yet. It hadn't been understood. So there was much to be understood. And this is for some of the things that are happening, you are having, these are just phenomena that you will come to understand at a later time. From time to time, there have been visitations, as near as I can tell, from other planets, or other solar systems. They did not come up, obviously, from other planets, but also from other solar systems, not from your solar system. And so there has been, from time to time, some. I don't want to use the word contact because I do not believe that real contact was made. As near as I can tell, it would be more like a crash or a landing or something like that, which left no, well, it did leave a permanent mark, but some things have been seen, and but they are. It's not easy for me to explain. I can only say there have been some that are real contacts, and there are as many that are merely phenomena that is not quite understood at this point in time, and which will be understood at a later point in time. Other energies that could be seen or felt or heard in some way, shape, or form. Are there other questions?
Well, thank you for that answer. That's very exciting.
I have a question.
Okay.
This may sound funny, but what is your opinion about our animals? Because are we with them? Are they incarnated relatives, or when they pass, it's so painful. It's like losing a human. Are we going to be with them again? I hear that I've heard that we are, but I also feel like our animals chose us, or we chose them. There's no mistake. I just want your opinion on animals and after they pass.
All living things have
What
life
is that?
force. All living things have life force. That what you would call a soul. It is different for each group. So animals have their own root soul from which they are born and which they return to after they pass, similarly to what happens to us. And so some of them actually do reincarnate in your same lifetime and manage sometimes to get back to you in some way, shape, or form. In other words, a good relationship, as it is with good relationships on the physical plane between humans, sometimes another incarnation will come about in which you can enjoy one another's company again. And since the animal lifetimes are fairly short, it is sometimes possible for them to come back while you are still living on the physical plane. So it's not an opinion in as much as that is what can happen. It does not happen all the time, but it does happen. So you can be, in a sense, reunited with your favorite pet that you had at one time. That sometimes does happen. And I think that is what your question is.
Yes, I've just heard different opinion or points of view on the spirit and the soul, because I lost 2 cats that were old. They lived a long life, and they both said goodbye to me before they passed. They looked up at me. I've still not over it. It saddens me every day, but I guess I'd like to know that they're in a good place too, and I miss them.
Yes, they are in a good place, for they
Yeah.
return to their oversoul, if you wish to call it that. They have, it is not quite the same as our spiritual life, but neither was their life on earth. But they have a
Right.
soul, and the soul returns to the oversoul, and until it is drawn again into existence for another life. So they have a reincarnation similar to our own. Usually they stay within groups so that cats will reincarnate as cats, dogs will reincarnate as dogs,
Oh.
snakes will reincarnate as snakes.
I got
There
it.
is not a progression of souls in as much as is sometimes believed, in that people progress from one type of animal to another until they reach the epitome of soul development as humans, and start working their karma through lifetimes as humans, after they have had extended lifetimes as various types of animals. So that if you were referring to that, my answer is that that does not happen, but definitely that cats, dogs, pets of all types, cows, that they all have souls, they all reincarnate. And when they die, their souls go on to the oversoul of their type, and then they return at another time in another body of the same type.
So we could be with them again.
You could be, yes, but they may not come to you directly either. But it is possible you might be reunited with them, or at least one of them.
Right. Okay.
And
Thank you.
if you find yourself with a new cat, and that
I
cat's
do.
actions remind you so much of the old one, it is very much a possibility.
I do. And that's why I was asking, because
Yes.
he's very similar. I feel like he's my little soulmate from one of my other cats that
Yes.
passed. So yeah, so that's why I wanted to know, because I just kind of, I feel like there's no accident when it comes to our animals, and whether we choose them, they choose us, however it works,
Well,
you know.
it does happen. So if you find that this new cat is a kitty is reminding you so fully of one of your last loved cats, that
Yes.
it is probable that the soul has reincarnated.
Oh, well, I hope so.
Well, it bears you no ill to hope, and to think in that way and still enjoy the animal that you are with.
Right. I'm an animal person. I love them. So thank you.
You are most welcome. So are there any more questions?
Yes, since you were talking about animals, do the animals' soul or spirit think, I guess you'd say, do they like decide to come back? Do they pick their family like we do, or do they come back for reasons like karma or whatever?
I'm sorry, I really have no idea as to the answer to that question.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I cannot answer that question. I just know that they have souls, and they do reincarnate. And so they come back, that there is usually not a transmigration from one type of animal to another type of animal. They usually stay within their own category, so to speak. So that is all that I can attest to. Not having been a cat, to my knowledge, I cannot say whether they communicate or they talk or they choose. I do not know what the system works, how it works for cats. Perhaps there is someone else who can answer that question, but I cannot.
okay. Thank you.
You are
I
most
was just, I was just wondering, like, when a dog is left behind and their master dies, are they aware of the spirit of the master if it comes back to the place where they were all living together? Because I have a dog that was not mine. I didn't want him, but now he's become my friend. But he belonged to my son. And there are days when he is playing in the house like someone's playing with him, and he's laying on the floor like someone is petting him. And there's a very odd stillness. And I was just wondering, are they still in communication or aware of the spirit of the person?
Yes, pets can sense things that humans do not necessarily sense, but that is not a true statement, is it? Because humans can sense spirit quite well if they are attuned to that and they wish to sense spirit. So an animal can also sense spirit. And it is possible, I have never experienced, to my knowledge, that an animal, well, you're asking me to remember an incarnation that I cannot even contemplate at this point in time, in which I might have owned an animal that was owned by someone who departed. So I cannot be an expert on this, but animals can sense spirit just as humans can sense spirit. And it may be possible that your son would come back to visit and play with his pet that he had when he was alive. And I'm sure if your pet is sensing him, he is very happy that he is in the presence of his former owner and person who loved him. Because pets do mourn their former owners when they are deserted by either those owners or they lose those owners because of death.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
You're most welcome. I think it is about time to say goodnight. So I thank you all for your questions in this evening. I give you all my blessings. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bless
Good night.
you.
Good night.
Good night.
Hi, I'm back. Okay, well, now it's my turn to say goodnight. Remember, I love you all. Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Wanda.
Good night. Good night.